Some leftists in Finland here. How are you all doing? Despite what some people may think, and I suppose they have good reason to think this, I do not dislike Finland. I don't hate Finland. Just because I say things like it's not my ideal place to live doesn't mean that I hate it. Nowhere on this planet is my ideal place to live. That's just it. But it has come to my attention that there is a big disparity between the positive videos about Finland that I make and the negative ones. The negative ones outweigh the positive ones by about 1 billion. So, in that spirit, I want to start talking about the things that I think are going very, very well with this country and the experiences that I have had. There may be some stories thrown in. Just talking about the things that I am grateful for, that this country provides me, that the United States could never provide me or, really anybody else, at least those who are part of the working class and not massively wealthy. The first, very, very first thing that I want to talk about is something that, I don't think I've quite shown enough gratitude for, because healthcare in the United States can be a very nerve-wracking, even before you have your surgery or whatever procedure, it can be very nerve-wracking and very stressful. And, well, I haven't really felt that here. And that is something that I absolutely cannot understate how freeing and how just joyous it is to know that if I get sick and I go to the hospital, I'm not going to be staring at a 10,000 or 100,000 euro bill coming to me in the mail. So that's what I will start with. I knew that when I decided to make this a series of videos rather than one big long video, that the first thing that I wanted to talk about was the healthcare system. And there's a pretty good reason for that. The healthcare system in the United States is a major, major embarrassment for a developed country. It really is. Obamacare or not, doesn't matter. It's an embarrassment. It stinks, and to be really sick and worried about how much debt you're going to be in that's cruel to me, That is cruelty of one of the highest magnitudes, because you just went to the hospital to get a surgery you absolutely needed, whether it was your fault or not, you needed to get that surgery, and then the first thing on your mind is, oh, how much am I going to have to pay for all this? Oh my God. That worry, by and large, does not exist here. At least it didn't for me. When I went to the hospital to get my appendix removed, it was 2.5 or 3 days in the hospital. The surgery, all the scans, the medication, the tests, everything, the whole thing from soup to nuts ended up being something like 39, 40 euros. And when you actually see the bill with your name on it, with that dollar or euro amount, it's astounding. I mean, you already know that things are cheaper here when it comes to medicine, but when you actually experience it, it's like, oh, okay. Now, it's not just the cost of things in the healthcare system here that makes it so great, in my opinion. Doctors do not overprescribe. As far as I've been made aware, they do not overprescribe, meaning if you have some sort of infection that the doctor thinks that you can just get through without an antibiotic, they will not prescribe you an antibiotic just like that. Which is good, because antibiotic resistance in this world is a looming threat. It's an issue. I know nobody's really thinking about it because of everything else going on, but it's an issue. They won't overprescribe opioids. In fact, I didn't get an opioid after my surgery. They gave me basically really, really strong ibuprofen. And there's a reason for that too, because of all of the epidemics in this world with opioids. And they don't over-test, When I was in Michigan and I had Medicaid, it just seemed to me that they wanted to milk it as much as they could. The doctors, the healthcare providers, they just wanted to milk it as much as they could. So I was sent in for test after test after test after test that came back clear, clear, clean, cool, awesome, rad. Why are you even here? Whatever. It's cool. You know, I really felt like I was just kind of like sometimes a piece of meat, just being poked and prodded just to find out, oh, everything's fine. I guess maybe it provided a certain level of comfort, but after, I don't know, after getting like 2 unnecessary colonoscopies, yes, um, you begin to wonder about all this testing stuff, and aren't there a few steps that they could take before they send me in to have my butthole roto-rootered for no reason except, I had really bad stomach pains, and I guess they thought they had exhausted everything else. I don't know, but that's not something that really happens here, unless you go to the private side. If you go to the private side, you pay out of pocket. It's really expensive, and you can have any test in the world done, But it doesn't work that way for the public side, which is good, which is very, very, very good. I have heard some natives complain that this way of that sometimes they've gone to the doctor with real medical concerns and they just kind of coldly dismiss whatever's happening with them, and they end up going to the emergency room a few days later. And that kind of stuff does happen, and you hear about it, and it's pretty concerning. But I cannot say that my experience with healthcare in this country has been bad. I've been here for 5 years. And I also have to thank this healthcare system from the bottom of whatever heart I still have in this chest cavity. When I first moved here, all right, this is a bit of a story time. I did not know I was going to be staying here forever. I thought that, okay, I'll come here, apply for the residence permit. I got 3 months on the visa, and then I'm going back to the States. Little did I know, when you apply for your residence permit here, you can stay. So I had to figure out my medication situation. So I booked a time with a psychiatrist, and I told them, I'm on this medicine because they think I'm bipolar. I'm on this medicine because they say that, it works. And one of those medications was something called Invega, an antipsychotic that I was being prescribed for depression. The other one was Lamictal, something I was being prescribed for bipolar disorder. I had another session with this psychiatrist, and he did not understand why I was on either one of these medicines and did not understand where these diagnoses came from. And they were diagnoses that I just kind of accepted at face value, but there was still something deep down inside. I'm like, am I bipolar? I don't feel bipolar, but I was convinced that I was. When I went off the medication, when I went off Lamictal, when I went off Invega, I did feel noticeably better. I did feel like a certain amount of fog had been lifted, but there was still a bit of a fog because I was on clonazepam. Something that, again, I thought I absolutely needed. And at first, I was prescribed clonazepam, one of the heaviest benzodiazepines you can take. I was originally prescribed that for insomnia, which is horrible. But it also coincided perfectly with all the panic attacks that I was just having out of nowhere. In my mid-20s, panic just slapped me in the face. And part of it is my fault because I didn't want to explore alternative options, or I didn't give them enough time, like meditation or mindfulness, or maybe trying something a little bit weaker than clonazepam. They just prescribed it, and I said, okay. That is something that I'm currently tapering off of, not just because of the shortage. Yes, that kind of started my journey of tapering off clonazepam, and all the withdrawals, they suck, but I told myself like years ago I wanted to stop taking clonazepam because I had noticeably slowed down. My brain had slowed down. My thoughts were a lot more lugubrious, and I just felt like there was always a bit I felt like there was kind of like a weight in my head. Not necessarily a weight that would, move me, but like just this overwhelming sort of like, I feel fine, cool, but this isn't really how I want to experience the world. And if I can experience it without this stuff, then I'm going to try to get off this stuff because it sucks. Just ask anybody who's ever been on Klonopin and has come off of it. It's a horrifying experience. It's going better than it did last time, but it's still pretty bad. Still pretty bad. But again, worldwide clonazepam shortage or not, it's for the best. And I'm lucky because I have a psychiatrist who isn't always the easiest to reach, but has given me a lot of hope that this is something that I can do. And it's something that if I just stick with it long enough, good things could happen. And I'm already feeling the good things. I feel like I have a lot more energy, which is somewhat kind of negated by the insomnia on some days because it's really hard for me to get to sleep now. But, that's all kind of extra. I cannot really say that I've had a negative experience so far with the healthcare system here. And speaking of medications, those things in the US that some people have to make the decision, okay, am I going to eat or am I going to have my medication this week? At the very beginning of the year, through Kela, the Social Security system here, you pay a €50 deductible, and that is a deductible you have to meet for the entire year. And none of the medications that I currently take have cost me, aside from the deductible that you just pay once per year, I don't think I've really had a medication that has put me back any more than like €9.70. There are a couple of exceptions to that, but they were really extenuating circumstances, so I don't count them in here. So that's another thing. You are not going to be paying an arm and a leg for prescription medications that, you need. There are some medicines that are really expensive that I hope get worked out pretty soon. Not ones that I take necessarily, but some other things are pretty expensive here for people that I've heard them talk about it. And I even hear natives, tell me that they've had plenty of negative experiences with healthcare here, but not quite with the same anger and with the same contempt as people would talk about the American healthcare system. And boy, howdy, do I have some stories of my own, but I won't get into them here. I know that I'm in much better hands here, healthcare wise. And another thing that really surprised me, I don't know why it surprised me. I thought maybe that this wouldn't be something that you would experience, but I have had a lot more comforting experiences with healthcare here than in the United States. I've had doctors hold my hand out of nowhere when something is being done to me that's really, really painful, like getting a mole removed, or when I had my eyes fixed. There's a lot of warmth that they show me that I never really felt in the United States. That only the kind of warmth that I would have felt if a family member were in the room with me. Telling you that's going to be all right and just to relax. And it's a really good reminder to get for someone like me to relax, because if you don't, I'll probably be like really tense and I won't cooperate, not consciously, but unconsciously, because I'm an anxious fella, I guess. Yeah, I've experienced that, and I've felt the warmth, and it's, again, I don't know why I was expecting, maybe because of some of the stories I had heard, anything different. So, I have to say that a lot of countries could take a page out of Finland's book when it comes to not just how they fund their healthcare and how they're able to get it to everybody, but also with the methodology, such as not overprescribing medicines to people, not over ordering tests, and just treating pain as something that, unless it's chronic and needs to be addressed, as just part of the healing process. I've had a few surgeries since I moved here, and I have not received a single opioid, and I'm very thankful for that. Even if an opioid would have made my healing process go by, a lot more joyously, I suppose. But it's worth, not having an opioid in my system. So that's what I think of the Finnish healthcare system. It's done me very well, and I hope that this country can continue to provide healthcare the way that they're providing it, because take it from an American who experienced 26 years of hospital-induced infections and 5-hour waits in the ER, careless nurses and doctors. I remember one time I went to the doctor in the US, and I waited there for like an hour and a half. And then when I went to the counter, they acted like it was my fault. That didn't happen. That wasn't only the first time. I'm very thankful for the healthcare system here. And I really hope that with whatever happens with this new government in April, that they don't do too much to defund it, because the way that it's funded currently, I'm not exactly 100% certain how and where all the money comes from, but I'm just happy that it's there. Because, again, I'll say this one more time because it's very, very important. You absolutely cannot understate how great it is, or how great a feeling it is to be in the hospital and know that when you get home, you're not going to open up a bill for like 10,000 euros. It's going to be something very reasonable. And if it's not something you can afford immediately, they give you plenty of time to pay it. So thank you, Finland, and your healthcare system, for all of the good that you have provided me and my family, and for everybody, really. I don't have any clever way to end this video, so I will just end it. Have a good day, folks. I'll see you with the next one.